Hi, I'm Jarrad Brown, Australian expat financial planner based here in Singapore. Thank you for checking out my video today. In this channel, we tackle the tough personal finance questions for Australians all over the world. Today, I'd like to share with you some of the top reasons that we find Australian expats don't want to leave Singapore. You may recall a previous video we did where we looked at why the common reasons are that Australians decide to leave this little red dot. But today I want to share with you what actually keeps us here. As someone who's lived in Singapore for just shy of a decade now, naturally I love the lifestyle here, the tax. There's plenty of reasons which we're going to explore today. And if you're an Australian considering moving to Singapore, whether you're in Australia or elsewhere in the globe, I hope that this gives you some insights into why some of us choose to move here, stay here, or potentially even start a family here. So let's dive right in. So let's start with the most basic and probably obvious one first. Singapore is an absolute tax haven. Now, I don't mean that we're talking about the Cook Islands or Liechtenstein where we've got unnamed accounts or anything of that nature, but relative to Australia, Singapore is a very tax-friendly jurisdiction. We have low corporate tax rates on companies here that are typically up to 17%. We have relatively low personal income tax rates that cap out currently at 22%. Now, if we compare that to Australia, we've got a corporate tax rate of 28.5% for small businesses and 30% for our larger corporations. So we're not quite double, but very close to. We also have a personal income tax rate at the top rate of 47 to 49% once we start getting those increases coming through. Now, importantly, it's not just on our income. We've also got those tax rates in Australia applying on any capital gains that we generate from our investments and any dividends or rental income or other income that we might be generating outside of our employment. Compare that to Singapore, we have no tax on capital gains. We have no tax on dividends that are received for the most part. Obviously, do your homework, make sure that does apply for you. But naturally, the tax nature, the tax structures in Singapore keep a lot of us here, keep a lot of us motivated to work hard, given we're able to keep the lion's share of what we generate. Now, the second top reason that a lot of us would love to stay in Singapore is that it is the travel hub, the gateway to the rest of the world. Naturally, in COVID right now, that does become a little more problematic, a little more difficult to actually enjoy. But in normal times, which we will get to again, we know we will get through this, Singapore is a great place to be based, to travel to the rest of Asia, to travel all over Europe, the US, even duck back to Australia if we need to. It is, in my opinion, the best airport in the world. You can land and be home at our doorstep within the hour. It is fantastic. So from a travel opportunity viewpoint, Singapore is certainly a very attractive destination to base yourself and to stay. The next top attraction for staying in Singapore is the opportunities for both business and progressing in our career. Singapore tends to be the regional headquarters or a bit of a regional hub for a lot of businesses around the world, particularly those that might be in tech or starting to build their asset base. Given there is very low or no capital gains tax here, it can be a great place to build up IP, to build up the value of your business, particularly if you're looking to start out. But for a lot of employees, the opportunities in Singapore to either progress their career, get into new fields, enter new roles that may not be possible in Australia, it can be a great stepping stone, or even for many at the peak of their career in leadership roles. The fourth top attraction of Singapore is just how safe and clean this little red dot really is. One of my first memories, very shortly after I arrived in Singapore, many years ago now, was we saw some of the workers in the street actually mopping the bitumen road. And we thought this was just crazy, coming from Australia, something we'd certainly never seen in Australia unless there was a real one-off need for it. but that really signifies just how serious Singapore takes how clean they want this city to be. And it's very noticeable if you go for a walk, go for a drive around, you don't have the chewing gum stains, you don't have the rubbish everywhere. They take that very seriously. It's also an incredibly safe place to be. So we've never felt any danger walking home or driving home, being out any time of the night here. So that certainly provides some peace of mind and reassurance, particularly for those who are looking to start a family here, or even those looking to bring your family over to Singapore. The next common reason that many people choose to stay here is that it is a multicultural hub. It is a melting pot of many cultures from all over the world. And for both kids at school, people working here, trailing spouses, we very quickly end up with friends who are living all over the world. We meet people from all over, whether it be at a social activity or a sports event, or the kids' school carnival, or at work. We tend to make friends with both the local Singaporeans and, of course, people all over. So very quickly, we end up with a great network of people we can go and stay with in different countries, and what a wonderful opportunity that creates, particularly later in life. The next common reason, and particularly relevant to Australia, I must say, is Singapore is a very pro-business place to be. Now, you could argue that Australia is not so much. We won't get into too much of the politics of Australia, but in Singapore, it certainly feels like business is encouraged, from grants to the way tax is structured, to incentives for new businesses, to various support from the government for hiring, training, different skills development. There's an array of opportunities here. And for anyone who's running a business here, looking to start a business here, or even expand a business into the region, I would certainly encourage you to check out Singapore, because we found, since we've been here for nearly a decade, it is very much the pro-business place to be. And finally, just to end on a bit of a lighter note, Singapore is also a fantastic place, both at a high end and a low end, for dining options. From Michelin star chefs to your low end $2.50, $3 chicken rice, and everything in between. Given the diversity of the cultures here in Singapore, the diversity of the people, there's some fantastic food, never a shortage of new things to try out. So a wonderful place to be living and experiencing something a bit new. I hope that this gives you a bit of an insight as to why I choose to stay in Singapore, why we find that many Australian expats choose to stay in Singapore, and why we're sure that many more Australians will choose to call Singapore home over the years and decades to come. Hope you find this helpful. If you have anything to add, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.